This is the testing video for the Geographical River Model program. So the first part of this, I'm going to take you through a whole, like a flow of the system. So the first part, which a user would have to do if they were going to use this system, would be that they'd have to enter date. So for this example, I'm going to enter the first date in the database, which is the 1st of January 2013. As the sample data I've got inside of the database at the moment, it goes from the 1st of January 2013 to the 31st of October 2016. So a user would then click the continue button and it would take you to this next form where there is a model of like a cross section of a river with the riverbank represented in brown and the river level represented in blue. And it can be rotated in both the X and Y directions around the point 0, which is this point here. And it also offers the option of, if the user would want to load the values into this form. So it shows off the relevant data to do with the date. So it shows off the date of which they had selected, and then it will show the minimum level of the river, the average level of the river, the maximum level of the river, and the amount of rainfall on that day. And all of these are on a read-only format, as you can see. If I were to as I bring up this keyboard and I try to input a value into them, it's not going in. So if I then go onto the data input, just to show off that quickly, it has all the same fields as is here. So a user would be able to enter new data so the system can stay up to date. Then there's also another function right at the start of the system where it is a mapping feature. It takes a second to load, but when it does load, it shows off the area around where that river model is made of. So this is a Bing Maps view of where the river is. This is the measuring station right here, so it takes a cross section here. This acts as like any other mapping thing, so the user can zoom out, he can scroll away, to show perhaps a comparing river. And then to come back to the initial one, they can click the search map button and it will send them straight back there. So to continue from this, to test if the model here draws correctly beyond the date. As you can see, when I don't enter a date, it doesn't have anything in the central bit where the water would be, because it cannot draw and it can't draw any of the values because it can't query the database to draw the values. So if I were to put in the date of the 5th of December 2015, I would be able to see that when I load the values, there is an average river height of 2.86, which is the value which it will use to draw the variability of the blue water level. As you can see in this example, the water level is overflowing over the bank. So this would have been a day where there's obviously been quite heavy rainfall, and that has caused a flood of its own. Now, the calculation behind this it's shown here, where H is the variability level. As you can see here, it's the Y one on each of the blue cube, and then it uses H1, which is the result of a query, times by 9 point, as you can see, 727, so on, because the river level in real life is 2.56 meters. So this block here would be representative 2.56 meters, but in my model, it's 25 units. So that's why at the end it's also added 25, because from here to here is 25 coordinate units, and so it's here to here. Next thing which would need to be tested is that the data input section works. So if I were to enter the date of today's date, 21st of March 2017, there, and then if I just entered random value of 5, I'll set all of the values to 5. I click the accept button, and it shows that it has been saved to the database. And so if I were to come down here, if I were to stop the program and close the table and retrieve the data again, I can see at the bottom it's updated with this, and I'll be able to restart the program. If I were to select the date of the 21st of the 3rd, 2017, if I reselect the date, it will have all the new data, which is down here, already into the system. But then this data input system doesn't also doesn't need for the system to be restarted as a whole. So if I were to enter in yesterday's date, uh, there, and I would set the value at 2 on all of them, I accept it. It's been saved. Table in the background hasn't been updated yet, but if I were to go back and then back again and then change the date to the 20th of the 3rd, I click continue, I load the values, all the values are still loaded, and it allows for the fast data input and then being able to visually show it. The other thing with the system is that with the use of the masked text boxes on this first data entry form and on the data input, means that, as you can see, when I press my keys and I'm highlighted into the text box, that it doesn't let anything other than numbers in, and it doesn't let symbols in, and for the shift numbers it doesn't let them in, and it is the same on the data input. If I show you here, shift numbers, letters, and the keys, so this won't allow any data types which aren't allowed into the database. So the database, as you can see, is wholly made up of numbers. It's a mixture of integers and non-integers, and dates for the date column. And that is the whole of the system being tested. That's the testing video done. Thank you.